Welcome back to the Crash the Pond podcast. It is a Wednesday, December 6th edition of the pod. Sort of a quarter mark edition of the show, if you want to call it that. The Ducks have just passed the quarter mark. We haven't done a pod in a little while, so this should be a fun one. Some big picture, some small picture, a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to think about how many games happened when we just missed 1 week. And because the last podcast we did was Thanksgiving week, and there have been, let me count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games that have happened throughout that time. So solid amount of games that happened there. But I did want to mention on the last episode that we did, there was a little bit of a bet that you backed out of, but I would let the record show that I am honoring that bet by wearing a Montreal Canadiens shirt underneath the jersey.
Yeah, that's
a half measure.
I don't know what you're honoring there, really.
A half measure.
We don't even know that you're actually wearing it. We have no way of verifying that.
It could just be an Angel shirt.
It could just be a red T-shirt.
Yeah,
a throwback Shohei Ohtani Angels shirt.
I mean, it's not throwback yet. Could be by the end of the weekend. Please, please just come back.
Just sign.
But yeah, it's underneath the new 30th jersey, which came in for me last week, and
seems like it came in for a lot of people.
It did, and I just have to say, it's a jersey that I think is like better in person than it is on screen or anything like that. And I'm someone that was a big fan of this jersey. I had my complaints here and there, but I thought it grew on me a lot, and eventually I bought it a day after it went on pre-sale. And I think just as time's gone on, seeing it with the whole entire look and now see it in person myself, I think it's a really, really good jersey and one of the best jerseys they've had in their franchise history.
I mean, it's certainly up there. It's not in the S tier with the original jerseys. But
no, it's not at the original jersey level.
It's definitely like an A to B tier jersey.
Yeah,
right behind the '07 Stanley Cup jerseys.
Ooh, this is ahead of that. The one thing that's, I think, a little touch on this that I think is really nice in person is the crest. I don't know if you would have known this, but the old crest on the Mighty Ducks jerseys, I think it was either the shoulder patches or maybe it was the main crest. It was like a little puffy. Like It almost felt like it was like a little squishy in the logo. Like it wasn't just like a regular crest or whatever, like the Ducks logo, the D is, where it's kind of more so this flat image with a little bit of texture in it, but not a lot. The Wild Wing crest it's like puffed out like the old jersey was. And that's just like a little touch on the crest that I think really makes it for me in person and really kind of builds back nostalgia. Because I remember my dad having a white Mighty Ducks jersey and seeing that on it. And it's a minor little touch that I think is really, really nice.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I've been saying that those jerseys would be almost perfect if they just didn't have that big green aqua ring around it. If they didn't have that, because I like the Wild Wing logo, I just don't love the Starbucks circle, but that's fine. I'm glad you like it. I'm glad people got their jerseys and are enjoying it, because that's ultimately what matters. And they do look great on the ice, no question. Now, in starting this show and us kind of scrambling of what we were going to talk about beforehand, I came up with the topic while we were talking here. So this is going to be a bit of an audible. But
okay.
The Ducks are 25 games into the season.
Sure.
Which is 30% of the schedule. So we're actually past the quarter mark. So why don't we start this way?
Okay.
The Ducks are 30% into their schedule, 30% into the season, 30% into the Greg Cronin, well, hopefully more than 30%, but 30% into the first season of the Greg Cronin era. Who are these guys? What is this team? What do we know about this team so far?
I think this team's identity is they're a team that's tight defensively in their own zone. They're not going to be as leaky as they were last season. They're not giving up as many shots in the slot. I think where they struggle is when they're playing against more of a staunch defensive team, like we've seen against the Kings, like we've seen against the Avalanche, where they kind of struggle to be able to get chances. And now part of that is they have been missing Trevor Zegras for the majority of the season at this point in time.
Yeah.
And so that is a major, major hole in the roster. But I think they're a team that's not really necessarily going to take games off. Like, even in the games that they've gotten blown out, I think that there are positives that you can take away from that game and you can build upon and really kind of find things. Whereas there were so many games last year where it was just burn the tape. Even like in the massive losses, it was like, there's nothing good here. They're just giving up glorious chance after glorious chance. There's not a whole lot of good here. Whereas even in the game against the Oilers, where they lost 8-2, like, you could look at the first period and the Ducks were dominant in that period, and they just allowed a couple of chances against that the Oilers were able to capitalize on because they have high-end skill. And so I think what we're starting to see here is the Greg Cronin system is there's buy-in from this team, and they're really starting to represent that well. And even if the results haven't necessarily been there over this last little stretch, you're seeing that process improve and seeing general and gradual improvement by this team almost every single game, I think.
Yeah, it's really hard to give a clean answer of who this team is because they've been without key players for... Yeah. I mean, Trevor Zegras has played 12 games. Jamie Drysdale has played 2 games, which is like a shockingly low number. When you like, I didn't realize it was that low.
Yeah. He played that first weekend, and that was it.
Leo Carlsson has, been in and out, although he still played a bunch of games, but they haven't had that full kind of consistency with the lineup because of the Leo plan. He's played 17 games so far. And so it's hard to give a perfect eval, but I think that where they are right now is about, I think, where they should be. The first stretch of the season, I think everyone knew that was not fully sustainable. There were pockets of it that I think are sustainable, and there were pockets of it that weren't, and that have proven themselves not to be, like Frank Vetrano's shooting percentage, which as of right now stands at 15%. So I think it was at like 28. It was like
25 or 27. Yeah,
so
it was high.
He's regressed big time, as you would expect.
Yep.
But I also don't think that some of these losses, like you've been talking about, are indicative of a team that's giving up or that's getting blown out or you have to burn the tape. Like, there's still a lot of pockets of good. I think that there is growth on a night-to-night basis. And honestly, like, I think that if everyone is healthy and if some of their more marquee players were playing more at the level you'd expect, I think that they'd be even a little bit further along. But right now, they're about where I would expect.
Yeah, and I mean, to your point on that, like Trevor Zegras, we talk about him almost every podcast, but he had a really great start to the season. And even though the scoring was not there from a play driving perspective, from a defensive perspective, when you lose a guy like that and having to pop guys up that are in a different spot in the lineup, and I mean, one of the guys was Alex Killorn, who had a bit of a slow start after missing most of training camp with that injury. And so it's taken him a little bit of time to get back into it. And so with missing those guys, it's going to have a negative impact. And I mean, Jamie Drysdale, one of the biggest negative impacts with Drysdale being out, not even discussing how he's played, because that's somewhat of a massive unknown of what type of impact he would have on this team just with his play.
We don't even know.
But the impact of shifting Jackson Lacombe to his right side as a result of that injury, that's what's happened. And to his credit, Urho Vakanainen has come in and played a really, really nice role for this team this year, but that still put one player in Jackson Lacombe on his offside where he has struggled. And I mean, Pat Verbeek in the Beaker this past week even mentioned that basically, I mean, he had this quote: "The tough part is on Lacombe, it's been he's been playing his offside. He did it at Minnesota last year, but I prefer defensemen to play on their regular side, their forehand side. I think the game is just a lot easier for him on that side. I think it allows him to naturally feel better, be more confident when he can get up the ice from his natural side versus coming from his offside," which is exactly, I think, on the podcast what you said, or maybe it was only in Discord, but you've made that kind of exact same statement with Jackson Lacombe. And so by missing Jamie Drysdale, that's forced him into that position. And so you wonder where Jackson Lacombe would be at, where this team would be at with Jamie Drysdale just slotting people into their more natural positions.
Yeah, and even now, like, missing Mason McTavish last game, like, well, what's the timeline on him? Do we know?
He's not traveling. He's not traveling with the team, and he was not on the ice for their skate. And I mean, even in last night's game, missing him. Yeah, I think it was interesting that.
And Max Jones, did Max Jones get kicked out, or did he? Okay.
He got hurt.
Oh, he got hurt. That's right. He got hurt on the hit. Yeah.
Yeah, he got hurt on the hit.
So the lines were just screwed.
The lines were screwed, but the only line that had consistency was the Carlsson, Killorn, Terry line. And you look at what the Avalanche did by looking at some of the shift charts and things that they did. They hard matched Taves and I forget who the other Taves and Manson and the McKinnon line against them, which is a really tough matchup for that forward line. And the thing for the Ducks is they didn't necessarily have the offensive talent outside of that line, which is why I think the Avalanche really hard keyed in on that matchup there. And you saw it with the Ducks really struggling, especially once Jones went out, at getting any chances at 5-on-5 in that game.
Yeah, and so to kind of bring it back to the big picture, though, I think probably maybe what would you say is the biggest positive of the season so far? Like, what is the kind of the thing you're hanging on the wall right now and pointing and saying that is the best thing that's happened?
Greg Cronin understands what he's doing. I think that is the biggest positive, because we've just come from a Dallas Eakins era where I think you look at the quotes, and while you may feel good from reading the quotes or hearing what he said, there wasn't necessarily an ownership and accountability from him to media. Seems like from him with the team, different things like that. Whereas Greg Cronin, you look at his post-game interviews for home games, because shout out Derek Lee, as we always do, post them on the Sporting Tribune YouTube page every single game that he's at, which is every home game. And you look at the game against the Avalanche where the Ducks were able to win, and Cronin was pretty honest about it, basically saying, we have not necessarily played bad over this losing streak. It's just, as a coaching staff, and he even said this, as a coaching staff, we really try to look at the process. If you eliminate the results from this, how did we play? How did we look? Removing score, how did this game play out? And he's like, we should have won 2 or 3 of these games, but also being quite honest, in the winning streak, we should have lost 2 or 3 of those games. And the fact that there's that perspective from this coaching staff, and he even said it way back when during the winning streak, that was the case. And having that perspective and a coach that understands what's happening there and is able to focus in and key in and make the proper decisions with that, I think is such a big breath of fresh air in comparison to what we've seen in the past. And it just goes to show that even if he doesn't necessarily look at the analytics in the same way that you and I do with expected goals, he looks at things like scoring chances. And I feel like every game he mentions scoring chances, and chances were 8-5 in that period. And so we had the better looks of it, and we should have been in a better spot. And so it may be not as advanced of a model that he's looking at, but it's a very similar concept by just looking at chances.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that Greg Cronin's a good pick for the most positive thing. And certainly I think that what we've seen from him is that he seems to have a better pulse. He seems to have a better pulse of who the better players are. Like, I don't really ever feel like, with the exception of maybe some moments here or there, like, oh, why is so-and-so playing this high in the lineup? Or why, you don't have a Derek Grant just getting inordinate amount of, top 6 time, or
especially when he doesn't deserve it.
Yeah, like, it feels like he does understand his roster very well, and he is trying to preach a system and a philosophy that's at least raising this team's baseline. Like, it remains to be seen with Greg Cronin, what the kind of upside is, because right now all we really know is that he's lifted this team's baseline to a much higher level.
Yeah.
But now it's okay, once they kind of lock that in, what's going to be the next step in the progression? And we don't have a clear answer on that yet, but that's probably going to be the kind of fascinating thing to watch as the season progresses. My most exciting thing, my biggest positive is an easy one. It's Pavel Mintyukov.
Okay.
You referred to the interview that Pat Verbeek did, and he said what we've all been saying. Like, he said, I'm actually frankly surprised at how well he's doing. And yeah, I would agree with that. You would agree with that. No one except for only one person that I know of saw this coming this year, and that would be Spencer in our Discord chat. So I will give him a shout out. And at the time in the offseason, I was like, there's no way. Like,
no way. Yeah.
You're too high on Mintyukov. And at every step of the way, Pavel Mintyukov has been just way beyond anything I expected this season. Has he been perfect? No. Are there moments where some of that rookie inexperience has come out? Yes. But for him to be this far along already at his age, with his total lack of pro experience, that is a revelation for this franchise. Because, as well as Mintyukov projected, it was still a projection. We hadn't seen it yet. So it remained kind of this distant thing that we just couldn't be too sure about. That's kind of the case right now with Olen Zellweger. But Mintyukov has come in and basically proved it. Like 25 games in, I don't have any doubts that Pavel Mintyukov is at very least going to be a solid NHLer. And now the question is just, can he become a star NHLer? And I think that there's a pretty big chance of that happening now.
Can I have another positive while we're at it?
Sure.
Let's just lay out the praises.
Shower with praise.
I thought this is where you were going to go with that last one. And the fact that you didn't makes me want to jump in and say it is Leo Carlsson. Like,
yeah,
I think
that's a good one.
I would not have expected him to be producing, look the way he is. I mean, we had so many conversations in the offseason, right? Of where is the best place for him to play? Is it going to be the NHL? Is it going to be the AHL? Is it going to be Sweden? And trying to figure out what the best place is.
Remember, do you remember the moment where it was like, oh, he might play in junior, like Canadian junior hockey?
Yeah. And he's just come out and shown, nope, none of that matters. This is the right place for him to play at. I don't think there has really been, he's had some games where he has not been as impactful, but even in those games, he has not looked out of water. He's like, this is where he belongs. And the crazy thing is, at 13 points in 17 games, for all rookies that have played at least 10 games, he's second in the league in points per game.
Yeah.
At 0.76. The only person greater is Bedard at 0.83. So he's not trailing Bedard in points per game by that significant of a margin.
Yeah, although I don't want to throw cold water on the points because I think he's been great and all that is deserving, but it's hard to separate like the production from the fact that he's getting this like extra rest that other guys aren't getting. Fair. And so how much is that helping? Like, we don't know. It's an unanswerable question.
We have a bit of an answer now, though, on the Carlsson plan. Speaking of that Verbeek interview, and I think just kind of layering that in through this conversation is the best way to go about this. But Pat Verbeek kind of made it clear what the Leo plan is in that Beaker interview, which is basically over the next however many weeks that this is left, which I believe he said is 6 weeks left, he is now going to be going up to 3 games per week. So it's no longer going to be 2 games per week where if there's 3 games or 4 games in a week, he'll only play 2. He's going to play 3 games per week and will only sit if there's 4 games in that week. And I took a quick look and there are only 2 more weeks, or 1 more week this year, that has 4 games. And then the second week of January, which I think is about 6 weeks from when Verbeek gave the interview, that also has 4 games. So I would target that second week of January as the last week that Leo Carlsson is going to sit games. And if that is okay, or if that's how it proceeds, he's only going to sit 2 more games. So this whole hand-wringing that ended up happening about Leo Carlsson and sitting games is going to amount to about, in total, 8 games missed. Right? Yeah. Like, because he sat, I think 10 games total because he missed those first 2 due to injury, and then 6 games after that, and then 2 more after that. So, in total, 8 games due to the Leo plan, which, in the grand scheme of it, is not that big of a deal when you consider Zegras has already missed more than that due to injury.
Well, so far, he's played 17 games. So, are you sure about your math?
17 out of 25, so if he sits 2 more, that's 10.
Okay, I thought you said he was going to miss 8 on the season.
8 due to the Leo plan.
Okay.
Because he sat 2 in the very beginning due to injury.
Got it. Okay.
That's what I meant by that.
Regardless,
this seems to be close to ending. Leo will be playing in every game, and he will have missed 10 games in total. And so, if he's able to keep producing, he might be able to make something out of the Calder race. It's not likely, but there could be something there.
Yeah, the hard part is that despite the great points per game, he's going to have to catch him in points. The award is total points, and so we shall see. But regardless, it's not about that. It's not about the points with Leo Carlsson, although the points are kind of a bellwether for how well he's played, because I think the most impressive thing to me is, A, the fact that he's even here and that he's playing well, but layered into that is the fact that he seems to be getting better as time goes on.
Yes.
Like he's adding stuff into his game that wasn't there in the beginning. Like in the game against Colorado last weekend, he had like a little kind of spin onto his, spin out of the corner, evading his check. And he set it up where he leaned one way because the guy was behind him on his back. And Leo shimmied to the right and then pivoted back onto his backhand out of the corner using his outside edge and then cut into the net. And like that kind of agility, it looked a little clunky. Like it's clearly not a strength of his game, but the fact that he's trying that kind of stuff and getting more comfortable, getting more aggressive, we weren't really seeing that as much in the beginning. It was a lot of just straight line off the rush. So if he's adding those kind of little wrinkles in where he can come off the wall and attack that way, like he's just going to get better and better as the season goes along. And also big kudos to Leo Carlsson for against Colorado. Curtis McDermott tried to jump him like an idiot to try to even up the penalties, and he just doesn't bite. Like a true veteran, just doesn't bite. Doesn't bite on the stupidity of Curtis McDermott, and that would give the Ducks a 5-on-3. Yeah, where Leo Carlsson would score.
Yep, great pass by Troy Terry to set up that goal.
A nice pass by Troy Terry and Leo Carlsson firing into empty net. So, yeah, he's been a big positive. And then the other one I wanted to highlight, because we've bashed on him a lot the last few years, deservedly so, but time to give some flowers, is number 36, John Gibson. Like rocking right now, 10.7 goals saved above expected, and just really looks the part to me. Like he's not always perfect. He's never going to be perfect. No goalie is, but he's making a lot of very difficult saves, especially like against Colorado. The Ducks penalty kill was just getting carved up and making really difficult lateral saves. He's in a better environment now, but he's playing above what you would expect within that environment. So
let me ask you this.
We owe him some not some apologies, but some flowers.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. I actually have another positive that I want to give out. Let's just be a little positive right now with the team kind of losing so much. Providing some positivity is a good thing. But a question for you there on John Gibson. What do you make of them kind of moving away from the rotation that they had early on in the season?
I mean, I think part of it is that John Gibson's just playing really well.
Yep.
And that he's just kind of owning the net right now, and he is the number one. Like that, he's the one making the big money. He's the veteran. He's playing very well. Like that's a perfect storm. Would I like to see him play a little bit less? Yes, but also I think some of the spacing with these games is maybe allowed for this too. And I mean, Dostal had I don't even want to call it a rough outing against Edmonton, because I think that's the last time he played. But he got bombarded in that game. The Oilers were just, I mean, his teammates were giving him no help. The Oilers were really pouring it on, vintage McDavid, vintage Draisaitl, breakaways, cross ice passes, one-timers, backdoor plays. Like, I just really don't think Lucas Dostal bears any blame in that game. And maybe the Ducks saw that as, hey, he's tired, he's fatigued, because
he's played 3 games. He's played 4 games total this month. In the last 3, he's allowed 5 goals, 8 goals, 6 goals.
Yeah, I'm not blaming him for the Oilers game. Like, you'd have to be crazy to put that on him. But the thing is, maybe they saw that as like, hey, you look at that just total number of goals, maybe there's some fatigue there. Who knows? Like, who knows what the answer is, what they think it is. But I'm not really worried about Lucas Dostal. I think that it would be nice to see him get a start here soon, just to keep him fresh, keep him kind of in the mix.
Against Chicago.
But I don't see this as a bad thing necessarily, because Gibson is playing well. This allows Dostal to kind of, recenter, get back in the lab a little bit, get back to working on some of his technique. Because sometimes, when you're playing a lot, you don't have as much time to just practice that. You're more focused on just your recovery, your game preparation. And so now he's had some time to really practice, maybe work out some kinks, and hopefully he can come back better. But I'm not really worried about Dostal, to be honest.
Yep. The other positive I want to give, as we're kind of going through this, small sample size on this. Want to really make sure that caveat's there with 4 games played for this line. But the Lisa McGinn-Carrick line.
Yeah, they look great.
They look absolutely great. It's been a long time since I can remember the Ducks have had a good 4th line.
I mean, I'm not even sure they're the 4th line, just on like talent, not talent, but like impact. I think they're the 3rd line right now.
Sure, but based upon listing and the way they list them, they are the 4th line. But those 3 together have really gone. They really, really work well. I think we've heard Greg Cronin mention hunting pucks, and I think that they are the epitome of that, with McGinn and Carrick and Leeson all getting in on the forecheck at various points in time and just causing havoc and chaos and winning puck battles and getting it back. And I think this is really what I was looking towards when Brock McGinn was added to the Ducks roster last year. And I think that this line coming into the season was exactly what I wanted to see, which is why adding Johnson was a bit weird to me. But I think with McGinn being out, maybe it makes a bit more sense. Well, I'm curious to see where it goes from here. But that line has just been clicking and doing exactly what you want from a bottom 6 or 4th line, which is controlling chances, not getting caved in defensively, and creating offense for themselves. And even if they're not generating actual goals, they are going to cause wear and tear on the other team that could eventually be capitalized upon by your more offensive lines by keeping that puck in there, and that kind of builds momentum for you within the game. And so really, they deserve a massive, massive shout out. We've harped on 4th lines for the Ducks team for years. You mentioned him earlier, but Derek Grant. And so I think giving a 4th line their flowers when they've actually been good is important.
Yeah, no, they've been great. I thought they were the Ducks' best line against Colorado yesterday. Yep. I thought that arguably they were their best line in the previous game against Colorado too.
They're rocking a 54% expected goals share.
Yeah, and the thing with them is that I don't really feel like they're out there creating dangerous offense, but they defend by possessing the puck. Like, they are really good at breaking up plays. They're really, Sam Carrick had a breakaway goal in the first Colorado game, so I should give some credit there, but they're really good at pressuring the puck, getting it back, and then they just get it deep, and they're all kind of on the same page. They're really good at filling lanes, supporting the puck, cycling it down low, getting it back to the point. Maybe one of the Ducks' best scoring chances, because it was one of the fewest. They had so few against Colorado yesterday, was the rebound chance, the Luneau point shot, where I think it was Leeson on the doorstep. We just couldn't bury it, and that was off of a cycle from that line. So they've been great, and you need those depth lines. Yep,
the Washington game, they scored the tying goal to get the Ducks back into that game, even though they eventually lost. But that line's been out there and been pushing it. Granted, the goal share is not meeting the expected goal share at 31%, but I would expect some regression from that on the positive side of things. So, there's that.
Yeah, so overall, there's a lot of positive. We could probably rattle off a few more, but we should probably take a break here before we talk about maybe some things we want to see changed.
Yep, I would agree with that. All right, this episode is brought to you by Green Chef. So Green Chef is a CCOF certified meal kit company, and they make eating easy with plans to fit every lifestyle, whether you're keto, paleo, vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, or just looking to eat more balanced meals. Green Chef offers a range of recipes to suit your preference. So they have so many different varieties and customization throughout it. And so eating clean should never be boring, especially during the holiday season. Feel your best and satisfy your cravings with adventurous eats and made nutritious. Discover exciting new flavors with recipes that feature certified organic fruits and vegetables, sustainably sourced seafood, and unique farm fresh ingredients like tart cherries, truffle zest, and rainbow carrots. And you can eat clean the delicious way this December with flavor-packed recipes like buttery lemon garlic shrimp, harissa apricot chicken, maple butternut squash risotto, and sriracha tamari beef bowls. And so they also have options for every single lifestyle. And so you can feel your best with nutritionist approved recipes, including calorie smart meals under 650 calories, protein packed meals with 30 plus grams of protein on average per serving, science backed Mediterranean recipes, and flavorful plant rich vegan and vegetarian meals featuring certified organic whole fruits and vegetables, good for you grains, and plant based proteins. You can also feel your best in December due to the sustainability of Green Chef. And they have seasonal recipes featuring certified organic fruits and vegetables, organic cage-free eggs, and sustainably sourced seafood. And they also offset 100% of their delivery emissions, as well as 100% of the plastic in every box, plus nearly all packaging materials are curbside recyclable in most areas in the U.S. And most of all, it's convenient and easy. They deliver everything you need to eat clean the easy way this December. Nourish your body with chef-crafted, nutritionist-approved recipes packed with clean ingredients that support your healthy lifestyle and taste great too. You can power through the bustling holiday season with our convenient, step-by-step recipes featuring wholesome dinners ready in 30 minutes or less. And over 35% of their recipes can be made in 25 minutes or less. That's not all. You can save time with 10-minute lunches, grab-and-go breakfasts, ready-to-eat snacks, and bundles from Green Market. So you can go to greenchef.com/60CTP. That is greenchef.com 60CTP and use code 60CTP to get 60% off plus 20% off your next 2 months. So once again, go to greenchef.com/60CTP, 60 like 60% off and CTP like Crash the Pond, and use code 60CTP to get 60% off plus 20% off your next 2 months. So once again, thank you, Green Chef, the #1 meal kit for eating well.
Another name I wanted to highlight that we should probably give flowers to is Mason McTavish.
Yes.
21 points in 24 games, 10 goals. And with him, the point production, of course, you can't really expect that moving forward, but it does have a bit more of a feel of sustainability just because of how dominant he can look out there with the puck, without the puck. I've been really impressed by him this season so far.
Yeah, I think he's shown a lot more offensively than I thought was in his game. I think specifically, I thought he was going to be a really good transition player for this team. But I think within the offensive zone, he's shown a lot more creativity and ability to create chances that I didn't necessarily think would be there completely. The one downside for him in that line is they've started to fall off a bit defensively. And so I think that I think the issue is that the offense has fallen off also because they have been caught defending so much. And so they really need to go back and really solidify the defensive game, which is what they were doing earlier on in the season, which led to them getting sustained offensive zone time and offensive looks. Yeah,
but he's played great.
Yep.
Now turning to maybe some things we'd like to see improve or things that have not gone well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be honest, though, there's not a lot to choose from. I think that up and down the lineup, this team has, most guys have either been at expectation or above. I mean, like we were talking about with the goalies, there's so many guys you can point to and say that they've been kind of like fun stories. But I think the one guy we have to talk about first is Troy Terry. 5 goals, 9 assists, 45-point pace so far this season. And the points is just more of just to give people a very bird's eye view. But I think just watching him play, it's just clear that he just hasn't found his game yet this season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think he's had it in patches here and there. And I think the one thing that I've started to see is I think he's started to show lately that he's starting to come out of that. I think there are some plays, certainly, and I think you highlighted one in Discord earlier, where he holds on to it a bit too long in the offensive zone and leads to a turnover against. But I think you're seeing a whole lot more of plays from him in the offensive zone where he holds on to and is able to make a pass due to drawing in the defense towards him and create an offensive chance as a result of that. And so the one thing that I kind of would not push back on, because I think it's a valid point. He's getting paid more. He needs to be producing more. That's a valid criticism.
Yeah, he's no longer graded on the nice
Agreed.
Story 5th round pick curve.
Agreed.
Yeah.
But I think that there is a bit of an over criticism of him right now because of those 1 or 2 turnovers, and people will then pile on as a result of that. I think there are good things that he is doing at 5-on-5, and they have not necessarily resulted in goals as of yet. But I think eventually that will come. But I think he does need to clean up those 1 or 2 turnovers, which, to be fair, used to be a whole lot more earlier on in the season.
Yeah,
and so I think you're starting to see some progress.
To me, it's not about turning the puck over. It's about just the decision making with the puck. Right now he's just trying to do too much.
That's what I meant, but that's a much better way to put it.
He's playing. I mean, I use the term, and now people have maybe taken it too far, but he's out there trying to be the hero a lot, or not necessarily he's trying to be the hero, but he's not looking for options. He's not looking around, because when Troy Terry, before he gets the puck, if he's looked around, he can make a really nice next pass. Like if you look at the late game push by the Ducks against Colorado, Tristan Luneau does kind of a end-to-end rush. He goes from his D zone all the way into the Av zone, and he kind of messes up the spacing and it gets really cramped. But as he's pushing in, Leo Carlsson, I think it was, or it might have been Strome, I don't remember. They duck in backdoor, and Terry sees that, and the puck gets to him, and he just perfectly one-touches it into that space, and it creates a great look for the Ducks. You talked about the assist for Leo Carlsson's goal in that game. Right before that goal, he made the same pass, and they didn't connect on a goal there. So I think he has an ability to be a playmaker. It's almost like single variable situations where he's already figured it out before he's gotten the puck. When he has the puck on his stick and he's kind of dancing with it or coming in off the rush, off entry, he has a harder time letting go of it. It's like for him, he'd rather hold on to it than just make the easy play, let the play develop, and then eventually get it back in a better position.
Yeah, I think that actually...
And the problem to me is that actively harms the line because it caps their ability to create dangerous offense.
I actually think that type of play from in transition is where he's at his best. And so I don't think you necessarily want to limit that.
When it's effective though.
Correct.
It's a double-edged sword, and sometimes it slices the right way and sometimes you cut yourself.
Which is why I think that stating that the hero hockey is a bad thing be a bad thing. What?
It can be a bad thing.
Correct. Because we have Rooch in our chat saying Troy Terry needs to stop playing hero hockey when, to be honest, that's something that he does well. And so I think specifically in transition, making the correct reads and plays while doing that is what's going to be important for him, and it will really cause him to be effective. I think where he gets in trouble is when he's cycling and does that a bit too much and goes high in the zone, keeps it on a stick, guy engages him, gets him to the board, and then causes a turnover going the other way because he is holding on to it, trying to make that play for himself. In transition, I think is where he does need to where he is at his best and can make those plays and really take advantage of that ability to create offense. I think the issue is in the offensive zone in the cycle when he comes up high with it and tries to do that is where he really has faltered a bit.
Yeah,
this season.
like there were multiple instances against Colorado where even off the face-off, where as soon as he would get it, he would just go straight to the middle. Or off the cycle, just goes into the middle. And it's clearly like very intentional. And even off the face-off, they did like a little set play where Terry takes it into the middle and then the D-man on the weak side activates. And so as the defending team presses up on Terry, that opens up that D-man and he just feathers it over to him. Mm-hmm. So he's capable of operating when it's like the table is kind of already set. It's just that when he has to figure out on his own, he's just too stubborn with the puck. Like he's just got to be able to let it go. Yeah. And here's my thing with this. Like if you look at some of the best players, the best playmakers, the best offensive players, they are going to break the rules sometimes. They're not going to make the high percentage play. And that's okay because they've proven that their ideas, their rule-breaking ideas work at a high enough percentage that you're willing to live with that. With Troy Terry right now, it seems like whenever he goes off script, it doesn't really work. And it's like at a certain point, if you're not showing that your ideas are leading to results or even like just chances, then I kind of want to see you get back into just making simple plays and kind of let the game work for you. Like that's the thing with Terry right now. It's that he's trying too hard to impose himself on the game where it's like, you're a talented player, you're a smart player. If you just kind of work within the confines of the game, it'll pay you back.
One thing I'm wondering, because I think when we've seen Troy Terry at his absolute finest is when he's been paired with Trevor Zegras. I know we had a lot of conversations, right, about splitting those two apart, putting Troy Terry with Mason McTavish. But I'm wondering if there is still chemistry with Killorn and Carlsson, which there has been the last couple of games.
Yeah, they've had some good shifts.
I wonder if you go back to the idea of having Carlsson, Zegras, and McTavish all at center. And you have you kind of work your pairings together, right? You have a Killorn Carlsson pairing, and you figure out who the third winger on that line is going to be. You have a Terry Zegras pairing, who they really work off each other. And I think when Troy Terry is at his best cycling in an offensive zone is when he has someone who thinks the game like a Trevor Zegras, who doesn't necessarily fit within a mold and makes those kind of high-end creative, not necessarily smart, safe plays, but they create offense and they're thinking that in the same wavelength. And so I think kind of having those two together could really work well. And it gives you a whole lot of depth throughout your lineup also.
Yeah, I mean, I think the reason you put those two together is because they're both so dangerous off the rush.
Yep.
But I think that right now it's hard because I don't think they're really getting those rush opportunities. And I think that I want to see someone that's going to kind of let Terry just be Terry while still being able to get the best version of their game. And the guy I really want to see him with is Mason McTavish, because I feel like McTavish is a perfect complement where McTavish doesn't really work. He doesn't really play in that world where he has to hang on to the puck and he's going to create. Like, he's much more give and go, fill lanes, get into the right spots. He's such a cerebral player, and he's got a great shot threat that I could see those two, like Terry's propensity to hold on to the puck could actually work with a guy like McTavish, who's really smart away from the puck. Whereas with Zegras, like, we've seen it work, but I kind of want to test that theory with McTavish and knowing that you could go back to Zegras if you really want to.
Fair. I think that when those two are on their game together in terms of Zegras and Terry, it's some of the most fun I've had watching this Ducks team over the last couple of years. And so that's also from a pure, like, biased entertainment perspective, is they're a fun pairing together. And I think that if they can continue that along with the other pairings kind of working together well, I think you could have something there.
Yeah, and we should note that Killorn and Carlsson have looked great together. I think that they're forming a nice little chemistry, and it kind of makes sense because they're both really smart and they're not necessarily like pure rush guys, even though Carlsson can be great off the rush.
Carlsson, when he gets those legs going, it's insane.
Yeah. And then, I mean, outside of that, like, I don't really have big negatives to pick at. I mean, maybe some people aren't happy with, like, Fowler's game.
He's been fine. I think you can criticize him, but
he's just been whatever. Like,
he's been fine.
I don't think he's been bad. I don't think he's been great. He's just kind of been somewhere in between.
Yep.
Radko Gudas, I think, has settled in.
Yep. I think he's looked good.
Tristan Luneau is the one guy I did want to talk about a little bit.
Go for it.
I just think that it's great that he's gotten these 6 games, but I can't wait for him to go back to junior, because even like I think Verbeek said in his interview, like, he skates the puck up too much, like he carries it too much, and I've never seen a GM just like call out a specific trait like that of a player. But there's flashes of good in his game. There's also flashes of, like, you have no idea what's going on. You're not playing at the right speed, and it's just a wild experience watching him play right now.
It's going to be fascinating to see what they end up doing, and just to in some ways see what they think of the ELC slide, because we've seen, and I've brought this up many times, that there are people that probably think that the ELC slide doesn't matter as much as everyone makes it out to be, because it actually takes a year off the deal, so it makes the negotiation in the second deal, or for the second deal, harder for the player side of it. And we saw that with Drysdale, right? Missing an entire year really hurt him from a negotiation standpoint. And same thing with Zegras, honestly, only playing however many games his first season. It hurts you from the negotiating standpoint. And so it'll be really curious, because I think Tristan Luneau is at 6 games right now?
Yeah, he's at 6.
He's been named to the selection camp for Team Canada, so he may end up going to the Team Canada camp, and
which starts in 4 days.
Yeah, plays in the World Junior. So it'll be interesting if he ends up coming back to the Ducks after that. I think most likely what's going to happen is he'll go play
if that happened.
He'll go play World Juniors, then go back to the Q after that.
Yeah.
But it's going to be fun to watch him at the World Juniors to essentially see what he can take from this little stint with the Ducks and apply it against lesser opponents, basically. So
yeah,
I think that is going to be interesting to see. If we're talking about negatives, penalties, Lou brings it up in the Twitch chat, but the propensity to take penalties and take them at really poor times has really hurt this team.
And there's really like no sign of it slowing down either.
And they're like, it's not as if you can say they're a result of the system, they're a result of being caught in their own zone. A lot of the penalties are just dumb plays. The too many men on the ice play at the end of the Colorado game. That's just like inexcusable. That type of mistake. And so those type of mistakes need to get cleaned up. Whether they will or won't is a whole different question. But I think as this team starts to try to be more competitive, cleaning up those areas are going to be really, really important for them moving forward. Another negative, this is a minor one, but one thing that's grinded my gears a little bit of late is that they are not starting the power play 1, or what I determined to be the first power play unit, first every single power play. They kind of go back and forth between the two, and it's almost like it's purely based upon just goals and not necessarily looking at what chances they are all creating. Because if you watch the two power plays go, the first power play unit, the one with Carlsson, the one with Terry, the one with Mintyukov on the point, that is the one that's generating more offensive looks for the
power
team.
play 2 scored 2 games ago.
Agreed. I'm not saying that they haven't scored.
Just saying.
I'm just simply pointing out that if you look at the chances that they're generating, power play 2 is generating significantly less chances than power play 1.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty night and day. I mean, there are times where it'll be like, it's because those guys were out there, and so they'll put the second unit out, but yeah, there's a stark difference.
I mean, but there are times where that's not even happening, and what they're doing
Correct.
is they're just simply starting that unit for whatever reason. I mean, I've looked at it, and I'll look at it again right now because I'm curious, but if you look at Fowler and Mintyukov as the proxy because of the point men, and look at their with or without use, it's kind of jarring to look at the power play with or without you for those two guys, and I'll pull it up really quickly if I can, but yeah, so I think that's
we all know. I mean, you just need to watch to know that it's a massive difference.
Yeah. Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, other than that, anything else comes to mind on this team this season? The vibes? Is Vibes HC still in effect?
Vibes HC is still in effect. It took a little bit of a hit during the losing streak.
Yeah, would they lose 8 in a row?
Something like that. Let's see. I've got it up. So with Fowler, the Ducks' expected goals for per 60 on the power play is at 5.84. Without Fowler, it is at 8.83.
Yeah, that's a pretty big difference.
It's a massive, massive difference. And most of the shots, because HockeyViz has the wonderful charts that show where the shots are coming from, majority of the shots with Fowler on the ice are coming at around the point area and kind of by the boards from the face-off dot, basically where Vetrano lines up, which makes sense for that. And then point shots looking for rebounds as a result of that, but they're just not even getting a lot of rebound looks because they're not generating a whole lot front net. You look at power play 2, it's face-off dots front net. That is where almost
do you mean power play 1?
Yes, sorry.
Yeah.
The Mintyukov power play.
Yeah.
You look at the Mintyukov power play, it's all in the face-off dots for shots and then front of net area.
Yeah. And Mintyukov loves to shoot from the point too. So that just kind of goes to show how it's not necessarily a bad thing as long as you can kind of work around it. But yeah, it's getting brought up in our chat here, but why not try Jackson Lacombe instead of Cam Fowler? Like on the power play. Like I know Cam Fowler is good at breaking it out and skating it up, but that's not that hard of a skill. Like there's a lot of guys who can do that in the NHL. There's a lot of guys on the Ducks who can do that. Jackson Lacombe can do that. Jackson Lacombe's got way better offensive instincts than Cam Fowler. Like the thing with Cam Fowler is that the only thing he knows to do offensively is shoot from the blue line. Like, you know, never comes in below the dots, never activates off puck. Like he's just so stationary and one track minded, whereas Lacombe is much more of a playmaker. So it's just painful to watch Fowler on the power play. Like,
yeah,
it hurts to watch.
I think right now there's not a whole lot of better options because
I think Lacombe is the better option. Like
no, but where I was going to go is I think Lacombe should be on that power play anyways because Max Jones shouldn't be on the power play.
Hey, Max Jones has been playing really well. I won't accept the slander.
I would not put him on a power play.
That goal he scored against Edmonton, was it Edmonton or Vancouver? One of the two.
Edmonton, he had 2 goals against.
The diving, like Ovechkin-esque goal.
How do we not get we really should have gotten a Max Jones hat trick.
Also, I do want to give Max Jones flowers because the goal that they scored against Colorado, power play 2, he made a really nice play along the wall to shake off a defender and just keep the play. Like I have never seen that kind of level of forethought and manipulation in his game. So, take your slander back because he's fine. He's not part of the problem. I mean, it's maybe a problem that he's being put in that position, but I think he's doing the most with it.
I mean, we're just gonna give flowers a bunch. This is wild that probably people are gonna be listening to this and wondering why are they giving out so much praise when the Ducks just lost so many games and lost again last game. But there's just been a big picture pod. There's just so much progress from this team. But another part of another thing that I want to give flowers to, another person I want to give flowers to, Jakob Silfverberg. Just turning the clock back this season.
He's played well. He's tailed off a bit lately, but
he still deserves flowers for. We thought he was done, healthy scratch in the press box consistently, and he's been a very positive impact he's had a positive impact for this team and deserves some flowers.
Yeah, I mean, the other guy, we talked about his line, but Brett Leeson, talk about a guy kind of reinventing himself or just becoming the best version of what he can be. Like, he's played phenomenally. So, yeah, I mean, just looking at this lineup, looking at these players, like, Bo Gru's played well, too. Like, Frank Vatrano's 14 goals, and it feels like we've barely talked about him, but there's been a lot of good that's happened this season, a lot of kind of big picture progress. Yes, there has been losing. Yes, there are definitely things, like, man, the game against Colorado on Saturday, the amount of times that they gave up 3 goals. I think it was 3-0 at one point, or it might have been 3-1.
Yeah,
all goals, all 3 were almost the exact same play. It was turnover in the offensive zone, and wouldn't you know it, you're playing the Colorado Avalanche, so a D-man is going to start skating from his goal line off the puck to go support the rush, and no one picks him up. Like there's just no sorting going on. It's like, do you know who you're playing? This is what these guys do. Cale Makar, Devon Taves, Bo Byram got like 2 freebies, basically. And that was a nice sign of growth, was in the second game against Colorado, where the Avs really, I mean, they didn't have Cale Makar, but they didn't really get those looks. And so even when there's times where the Ducks look kind of like lost mentally, they do show an ability to correct on that. And even like in those games, like they show some fight, they show some ability to come back. So, but that was just hilarious that like all 3 of those goals were practically like the same play.
Yep. All right. Ready for questions or anything else?
Yeah. Questions.
Yeah. Although I guess the only other thing to note, we don't have a timetable on Zegras or Drysdale. They are both skating with the skills coach with Isaac Lundstrom, right? Yeah.
Lundstrom sighting.
Yeah. So,
look at that.
Yeah. So McTavish Terry Drumbanger said, if you were to summarize this team on one player, what player would that be?
Like, what is that? Like, in what way? Like,
let's go with the identity of the team.
The identity of this team
on one player.
I don't know. I'll go Pavel Mintyukov. He's just kind of a wild player, and I feel like this is kind of a wild team right now.
The team is 100% wild, so great call. Shaken Wing said, is it time for the national media to realize the Ducks are better with Zegras?
It's time for just the general hockey fan base to understand that, because wasn't he voted like most overrated player or something in like one of those stupid Puck Empire polls?
Yeah, people should understand that he's actually a good player and not just, as I always make fun of, a flippy puck kid.
It's not like his fault that the media chooses to just cover him like crazy. Like he doesn't. Anyway.
Yep. I'll go with BPH. Said, how excited will you be when Perry comes home to retire a Duck on a scale of 1 to 10? That caught me off guard because I should have pre-read the question. You and I are both of the opinion. We'll just get this out of the way here. Until we know what happened, kind of neutral, not bringing him back, not really having an opinion on if they should bring him back or not. Whatever he did was enough for him to get terminated, and doesn't seem like he's fighting it. So I think that's the start and the end of it for me, is that until we have any more information, not going to really talk on it either way.
Yep.
Turtle Committee rules expert said, top 3 pregame establishments you enjoy before a Ducks game, in order.
This is probably a question more for you.
I mean, really the only place that I personally go to is Noble, and you can now see a Crash the Pond flag there. You
Shameless
can see some things in there. Shout it out. But it's just a good spot to go. Free parking, can walk over to the game. That's really it. I mean, what was
JT Schmid?
JT, I have never been there pregame.
Really?
I've gone there for lunch though, because my work's around the corner.
Oh, okay, I was going to say that's like incredibly random, but now it makes sense.
Yeah. What is it? It used to be Gunwale. Now I think it's Anywhere Brewing.
Okay.
Anywhere Brewing. It's off Orangewood. So have gone there, gotten beers there, and then kind of driven over. And then Lazy Dog would probably be the other one. So there's the 3 I've done. Let's go with that. Shaken Wing said, why is PP1 unit out there second? Seems like a Dallas Aikens type of thing to do when with an excuse of they work harder.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't like it. And also, one thing I really kind of hate that gets talked about power plays, and this is something Dallas Eakins used to say all the time, is like, oh, we've just got to simplify on the power play. We've just got to get pucks on net. It's like, no, that is not the time to do that.
It's the opposite.
You have the extra man. It's time. Like, yes, there is a balance of like, you don't want to just set up for the one chance, but also like just throwing it on net, low percentage shots just to maybe get a tip or a rebound, like that's just not how modern power plays, succeed. So if that's the mindset behind the power play too, is that like they're just a little more simple and like they don't really, like, I don't know, like they're just less risky. Like, it's just, I hate all of that. Like, that's just not the mindset you should have on the power play.
You need some sort of puck movement to get the goalie to move laterally to open up shooting lanes through them.
You're trying to score a goal.
It's pretty simple.
You're not trying to like defend your own net. Like, yeah, maybe if Mintyukov has had a couple turnovers at the blue line, like, coach him on that. Don't just take him off the ice.
One thing I actually find extremely frustrating within this conversation of this is that there are times where I'll watch and let's just go with the Fowler power play. That's the only best way to put it.
The Fowler play?
No, but instead of giving it like PP1, PP2, because some people will dispute that, the one with Cam Fowler on it, they'll be out there for like the past 30-minute mark, and there will be a face-off, and they won't change. And the vice versa happens with the Mintyukov one, and if it's been 30 seconds, they'll change.
Yep.
And so it's just the same things aren't being applied to both. And I just find that somewhat frustrating, especially when the Mintyukov unit is out there creating more chances. Isaac said, Zegras, Draisaitl, and Lundestrom skating in full gear this morning on a separate sheet of ice. Quoted to Felix Sicard, quoted to Puck Empire. With this breaking news, who gets sent down once our injured players join the team again? And what would the bottom six look like?
Man, that's a great question. Because that's a lot of bodies coming back in. I think Ross Johnston's probably waived.
Ross Johnston is probably waived at this point.
Yeah. Like he's not even in the lineup right now with all the injuries. So.
He is a defenseman in practice at this point.
I think that's just how Derek lists them. I don't think he's actually playing D.
He is legitimately during practice. I saw it during the morning skate when they posted pictures. He had a black jersey on, which is what the D-men wear. Because they had 7 defensemen, so they wanted one more to have an extra pairing.
Yeah, I mean, regardless, like he's not playing.
He's not playing D. Yeah. I'm just saying in practice, that's what's happening.
Yeah. I'm saying he's not playing in the games. Like he's not getting into the lineup.
Sure. Yes.
With like an opportunity to do so.
So let's just say, you have to have 2 forwards come out, or 2 forwards get waived, and 1 defenseman get waived or sent down. I think Luno going down is easy when Drysdale's healthy.
That's happening.
And then, it's probably Ross Johnston, and then, it probably Bo Grew.
I don't know.
Bo Grew, Max Jones,
yeah,
Brett Leeson,
Jackson Lacombe is waiver exempt.
Jackson Lacombe is waiver exempt, so you're not going to run 6D though.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what you do.
Does
Bo Grew get claimed on waivers?
I don't know.
He might.
Would Max Jones get claimed? Who would you prefer to lose of those two, Bo Grew or Max Jones? Or who would you prefer not to lose? I guess the better way to word.
I think Grew, because he's younger.
Okay.
There's still some. He's 23. He's not like a 19-year-old, but there's just a little more upside there.
Jones or McGinn?
Jones. McGinn just does more. Also, He's got a year left on his contract, so you're losing a trade chip if you lose him on waivers.
Okay. I was just saying because McGinn is 29, and McGinn's not going to get claimed for sure because of his contract.
He might be the one you sneak through, but I think you're making your team worse by doing that.
Agreed.
So
I don't think McGinn gets claimed because of the AAV on his contract, but I think
there's just no point in sending him down.
Yeah, McGinn does more for this team than Jones.
Jones or Grew. As much as I've liked how Bo Grew's played, he's not. It sucks because in an ideal world he should just be on the team, no doubt. But just the way that this roster's built, the contract statuses, it's just kind of.
What would the bottom 6 look like? Is it crazy to say that I think McGinn, Carrick, Leeson are earning their keep at this point in time?
They are. They are undoubtedly.
What do you do with that third line?
Well, so you'd go back to Zegras, Carlsson. You could do Zegras, Carlsson, Terry, just to throw a combo out there,
and then I guess do Vetrano Vetrano, McTavish, Strome.
Yeah.
And then
Henrique, Jones, and Silverberg.
You forgot Killorn. And you forgot Lundestrom.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. Yeah, I'm forgetting those guys. So,
yeah.
Interesting.
Killorn, Lundestrom, Henrique?
Well, now I got to take it all back because I forgot about those guys. So Killorn, Killorn, Carlsson, Terry. I think right now that makes sense.
Okay. Where does Zegras go then?
Yeah, I don't know. This is hard. Zegras, Killorn, Carlsson. I'm going to cheat a little bit. Zegras, Killorn, Carlsson.
Okay.
And then Terry, McTavish, Vetrano. Okay, this is working. I like where this is going. Terry, McTavish, Vetrano, or Terry, McTavish, Strome, however you want to do it. And then one of Strome, Vetrano, Henrique. And then who's the third guy?
What about Lundestrom?
I'm getting to him. Like Lundestrom is in this mix. Like whether he's
the
13th forward or not, like it doesn't really matter.
Okay.
But I don't think he's a lock to be in the lineup every night once he comes back.
Fair.
Like just with the bodies right now. I mean, if you want to take
Silverberg out, by the way.
Yeah, the Ducks are going to be a lot deeper team when all these guys are back. And then as far as the blue line, I mean, Fowler, Drysdale, you just go back to that.
I think you do.
The mythical Fowler Drysdale pairing.
I think you just go with what they ran last game and you just swap out Luno and Drysdale.
Yeah, I think so too. And then you can have Lacombe with Gudas, and you can have your third pairing. So you have Mintyukov and Lyubushkin. Lyubushkin's played well, by the way. He's playing very well as of late, offensively.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the forwards are going to be kind of a mess to figure out. I mean, maybe a trade might need to happen.
Yeah,
just to make room. Even if it's just getting a pick back.
Doomkrauser said, so the Ducks are missing their top 10 picks from 2019, 2020, and 2021 due to injury. Do we start to wonder whether the Ducks need to change up their sports science / training department?
I mean, I think they already have.
Yeah.
I also just question how much of a difference that really makes. Because at the end of the day, it's, can you save the players from themselves, and can you keep them off the ice as long as possible? Because so many injuries, I feel like, are just guys coming back too early. But yeah, I wouldn't attribute it to that. I mean, the Drysdale thing, they're all independent events. Also, like, no one else. I mean, Lundstrom's injury was like a freak injury in the off season, so I don't know. That just seems like a bit of a speculative question.
Coffee Guy 8806 says, what do you guys think about Gibson and his contract? Is he worth having around for when this team is mature, or do the Ducks trade now at a good watermark?
I mean, it's a great question because it's going to be hard to trade him in season. That's always the refrain. But at the same time, this is maybe the best. Like, who knows how he'll look 3 years from 2 years from now, a year from now. This could be the best he'll ever be moving forward. So I don't really know how you balance that. But that being said, I mean, he's playing very well. He's looking like he can be a solid enough goalie behind an improved team, a team that should only continue to improve. And, with the way Dostal has come out, maybe a little shakier than expected, maybe it is better to keep Gibson around just to kind of be a bit of that safety blanket for Lucas Dostal.
Yep. Weaver said, who has the better career, Zegras or Keller?
I don't know.
I'm going Zegras.
I don't follow Clayton Keller.
I'll go Zegras.
The rest of the NHL just, outside of the Habs, just doesn't exist to me. No, just kidding. I mean, Keller is how old? He is 25. His career high in points is 86. That was last season.
Last year.
Before that, though, I mean, he'd only hit 60 points twice over the span of, 6 seasons. And Zegras did that in his first two seasons.
He's done it twice.
Yeah, like back-to-back years. So I think Zegras is just more prolific. I think that Zegras is also in a much better kind of starting point situation, teammates-wise, franchise-wise. So I'm going to go Zegras.
Yep. McTavish Terry Drumbanger said, is it time to pair McTavish with Terry?
Oh, you're telling me someone with that screen name would have asked that question? Yeah. I mean, hey, I agree. I mean, I want to see it. I think it makes sense. It's not necessary for Terry to play with him though, for him to hit where we want him to hit. But I think it could really work.
Yeah. Average Canadian Ty said projected lineups with everyone healthy. We already ran through that, but want to give him a shout out for the question. McTavish Terry Drumbanger said, with Lucas Dostal getting shelled in the past 3 games he started, is it time for him to start against Chicago?
Yeah, I mean, let him get right. Let him play against a weaker opponent. Although, I don't know how you stop a Connor Bedard shot. I just don't know how you do it. Like I've been thinking about this the last few days. The guys who shoot like that, like Matthews and Bedard's obviously the best at it. As a goalie, I don't know what you do. What are you supposed to do? The angle of the shot changes. You can't get set, and then the guy is just insanely strong and can put it wherever he wants. So I don't envy goalies of today, and that's why I hate when people just blame goalies for everything, because it's like it's the hardest job. It's the hardest job on the ice. So yeah, I don't know how you stop that.
Ryan said best Ducks to put down for Puck Doku.
Well, hey, you don't
Michael Del Zotto.
Nah.
No, just because he's played for a bunch of different teams and has played for the Ducks.
I'm not big on giving out answers for Puck Doku because you got to earn those.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
Dalton Key said over under on how tall Leo Carlsson ends up. This is a little bit from Alex Killorn, I guess, that when Carlsson went down and they did an X-ray on his hip earlier on when he got hurt in practice, they said his growth plates are still showing he's not fully grown. Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah. Absolutely wild. Let's go 6'5". He's 6'3" right now. I'll go 2 inches. Most likely like 6'4".
I have no clue.
No clue.
I don't know how growth works. I stopped growing a while ago.
McTavish Terry Drumbanger, yeah, same. Said over under on Tristan Luneau, 15 points for Team Canada and World Juniors.
I'm gonna go under.
Okay. Brad said it's clear Dostal is struggling in his last few starts, but how can not playing possibly help his development? If this is supposed to be about the process, isn't this counterproductive?
I mean, at the end of the day, he is still a backup. And when you're playing behind a high-priced, right now, star goalie, this is just the reality. You're not going to play as much.
I would also add that Dostal's in a different position than a goalie that needs to be playing a bunch of games. He's done that in the AHL already for a couple of years. Now it is about getting the NHL experience. And even if that is as a backup, you look at some of the best goalies in the league, they at one point in time started as a backup goalie and worked their way into the starter role. And so that's just kind of how this happens. I don't think that I would put this as a way that would hurt his development from that perspective.
And like I said, sometimes for goalies, I don't think playing a lot of games is necessarily best for your development because you don't have as much time and mental energy to go back and correct your mistakes.
Yeah.
And so with all this layoff between games for him, there is a fine line of you don't want to be off for too long and get cold. But I think that there is a value to just stepping back, getting back in the lab and then going back into the game with just kind of a clean slate. And hopefully that will come soon, though.
Yep. Vyacheslav Budiets Believer said, besides Tristan Luneau, who are you most looking forward to watching at the World Juniors? I actually have an answer for this one. In Radwan Dionicio, playing for the Swiss team. I think seeing him in that tournament is going to be exciting to see him playing in a more prominent role.
Yeah, I'll go with a basic B answer, but I'm genuinely excited. It's Macklin Celebrini.
Oh,
because I feel like I've watched him a decent amount so far, but it's always there's always something special about seeing the presumptive first overall pick kind of get to flex on a big stage, because it's kind of like the one time where everyone's watching prospects before the draft. And so I'm excited to see him on that stage.
Is Belarus? They're not in the World Juniors this year, right?
I don't know. Why wouldn't they be?
I think Russia and Belarus are not.
Why wouldn't Belarus be in the World Junior?
Because they're associated with Russia.
In what way?
I believe it's the same reasons.
Wait, what? Wait, hold on. What?
They've been
Belarus is associated. Is it like? Never mind. I might just not know enough about this topic to engage.
Yeah.
I'll just leave it alone.
The reason why I was going to bring that up is Yegor Sidorov, seeing him play, but I don't believe that Belarus will be in the World Juniors.
Okay, got it. I'll take your word for it.
Yeah.
They may have just not qualified.
That's also possible,
yeah.
To be fair. But yeah, so that's it for our questions from our Patreon Discord.
Okay,
I didn't mention that those...
They did get banned. I just Googled it.
Okay. Yeah, both Russia and Belarus are sanctioned. Okay. So I wasn't completely off my rocker.
No, I was just I just didn't know where that was going. I was just confused. But anyway.
Yes. It's because of him and Belarus and Russia being connected in all of this. But all those questions are from our Patreon Discord. Go to patreon.com/crashspawn where you can join us at the $2 tier to get access to our Discord. Now going to jump on over to our Twitch and YouTube chats for questions before we get on out of here. And so if you want to support us in a way that's completely free to you, if you want to go to twitch.tv/crashthepond and subscribe to us there. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free Twitch Prime gaming sub each and every month. It helps out more than you can imagine. And it is completely free to you. You can do that for us over there. And sorry, I was a little distracted because I saw a question about our Patreon in our Twitch chat as we were going. So sorry about that. Or if you're listening to this and you have a YouTube, and yes, I know everyone has a YouTube account. Everyone does. Find us at youtube.com/crashthepond and subscribe to the channel, like our videos, everything over there. So we're going to start with this question from the YouTube chat saying, Ronald McDonald, he said, when do we think Zellweger makes the team? This year goes on as ELC regardless. And who is the first line left wing when Zegras comes back?
Well, I feel like we kind of answered the Zegras part of it. I nominated Killorn to stay on there because I like his chemistry with Carlsson. I don't know. I mean, Zellweger's putting up points. We all know that that's not really the barometer of success for him, but it is good to see. You know, right now, maybe there's going to be some opportunity here with some injuries, but I really don't know. I don't know when that's going to be. Maybe after Lyubushkin gets traded. Just kidding. Who knows if he'll get traded?
He's probably going to get traded at some point in time. I actually don't see any more questions in here, but throw them in if you can. Oh, Vixler said, when is Scratch Spawn getting a Ducks player / prospect on for a quick interview? We would love to do that.
Ask the Ducks. Don't ask us that. Ask the Ducks.
Tag them on Twitter. Tag them everywhere. Make your voice known. Like, legitimately, that's probably a really good way for us to make a little bit of noise from that. Is if you want to see that, mention them on Twitter. Yeah,
like straight up, just so the record is clear. Like we've asked, we've tried for years, and our attempts have not been successful. To just put it simply. But yeah, if you are listening to this podcast and in your head you've thought, man, it would be fun to hear a player or a coach or just anyone associated with this team hop on and talk with us, tag the Ducks on social media, Instagram, Twitter, everywhere. And that's how this stuff unfortunately sometimes gets decided, is that, it's a bit of a popularity contest, but at the same time, make your voices felt, make your voices heard, and I'm sure that would help.
Yeah, agreed. Let's see. Smile RL said, you think the Ducks would trade some of the guys on 3-year deals at the deadline? And he's saying guys like Strome, Vetrano. Vetrano is not on a 3-year deal.
Well, he is on a 3-year deal.
Well, sorry, his deal is almost, but Strome is not, for instance.
Yeah, Strome is 5.
Yeah, Strome is 5, but Vetrano has 1 year left after this. Strome has 3 more after this.
I mean, it's not a bad question on Vetrano. He's putting up, a great season offensively. Does he really truly figure into the plans of this team long term? A lot of bodies coming in. It's a tough question because there is a value to just having good players on your team. Like the Ducks are at that point now where they're not just, tearing down for assets. They're trying to build a culture. They're trying to build a winning environment. And, Vetrano seems like a very competitive guy, seems like a hard worker. He can put up flashes offensively. It's tough to let that go. So I don't really have a great answer for that because I could see arguments either way.
Yeah. Vixler said, current favorite TV show or movie you've watched recently?
I've been in a bunker for about a month, so I don't have an answer.
I mean, I'll give my favorite Christmas movie, Klaus, on Netflix.
Klaus?
Came out a couple years ago. It's animated. It made me cry. It is so good.
Why don't we say Santa Claus? Why do we say Santa, period? Isn't Santa feminine? Like the feminine version of saint?
Unknown.
In Spanish?
Sorry. For anyone that's on the Patreon, Melissa brought up a great point about why there are so many episodes that are locked. I'm now understanding it. I will go ahead and fix that right now. So thank you so much for pointing that out. Smile RL said, is line an option? If so, would Gru factor in at all in that package?
Hasn't he been playing better, or am I just completely misremembering?
You're asking the wrong guy right now.
So I read a little bit of an article today about what's ailing Patrick Laine, getting into some of the nitty-gritty of his game, and I'm less convinced that he would make the greatest trade target as of right now. Like he has the offensive game, but I feel like it would take a real big kind of surgery to get him to fit into this kind of Greg Cronin system, of compete, of, defensive responsibility first. Like it seems like that's an area of his game that's really lacking at the moment. And so, could Greg Cronin be the guy to turn him around? It's possible, because we've seen with Greg Cronin, he kind of has this ability to be hard on guys, but also be empathetic and let them express themselves offensively. So maybe it could work, but I feel like I honestly just have a hard time thinking that even Pat Verbeek would target him, just with some of the stuff that's in his game right now. Or maybe a better way to put it, some of the stuff that's not in his game right now.
Yep. All right. Let's end with some shit show questions. How about that?
Sure.
Let's see. McTavish Terry Drumbanger said, how much would we make if we earned a quarter every time the word Zegras or Drysdale were mentioned on this channel? I mean, they actually,
a lot.
Yeah. McTavish Terry Drumbanger said, when is Reindeer going to admit that soccer is the real football here and not a Cowboys bastardization of rugby? Hey, I watch soccer aka football way more than I do American football. And so you're talking to the wrong person or barking up the wrong tree there. But I mean, we don't have to necessarily gatekeep either one. People can enjoy both. We can call both football. Who cares? Call it football, call it soccer, call it whatever you want for that version of it. Call it American football or call it football. Who cares?
Yeah, I mean,
let people enjoy it.
It is kind of funny that people get so upset that we don't call soccer football in the U.S. when it's like,
well, soccer is actually an English term also. Like, that is something that they made up.
I think it's actually Scottish.
No, it's English.
Wasn't it a Scottish university named Soccer?
No, it's because they used to shorten everything, and
soccer
it was association football, and they used to shorten everything. So they, instead of taking, and it was like adding ER to the end of everything. So shortening association to sock and then soccer. So that's where it came from.
But we have a lot of sports where it's like, why are they called what they're called? Like hockey. Why isn't hockey called like puck stick or, ice ball, or like, I don't know, like why is it called this like obscure word, right? So
yeah,
I don't understand why it's like such a big issue.
I think he's getting at why is Football Talk, our Football Talk channel, strictly about the NFL, and that's because there are so many people that talk about the NFL in our Discord. And
yeah,
because
we have a football channel for people that are fans of football.
Well, I guess his point is that should also be soccer/football.
I think you just got to get over it, bud.
Yep, agreed. Well, should we just rename it to no? Because
just make it a soccer. Yeah. Like, here's the thing: this is America. In America,
you're going there.
It's called football. I wouldn't go to fucking England and say, "Oh, we should call it soccer." I wouldn't do that. I would respect the customs of where I live.
So
guess what? You're here. Call it its appropriate name, and when you go over there, call it the appropriate name over there. It's totally fine. No one's offended in this situation. So
yep,
that is my.
Let's see. Plant Ranch said, rank your favorite fast food pizza slices.
I don't really eat fast food pizza like ever. So
yeah,
I mean, I guess
Domino's.
like,
I guess.
I mean, I really like Blaze, but I don't know if Blaze counts for anything.
No, that's not fast food though.
Yeah,
it's Domino's, like Pizza Hut, Little Caesars, Round Table. I don't know. I guess Domino's.
I used to think Round Table was good back in like 2013. I don't know if they've changed.
That sounds like a 2013 take from you.
I mean, it's just like whatever fast food pizza. I don't know.
All right. Let's see. Lou said, does he bring a 12 pack of silver bullets to share on Friday? No, don't.
Do it.
Don't.
Do it. I will drink them all. Just kidding. Do not hold me to that.
OG Leo Carlsson Truther said, what is your why?
What is your why?
I don't know what he
did he just look up like generic questions
I guess
on Google?
I don't know. And Detective Appa said worst bit in CTP Discord.
Just the fact that people are inventing bits these days. You know, it's just frustrating. Why are we inventing bits? I don't understand.
Is the game on?
What is my why? My why is to be the very best.
The best there ever was. To catch them is my real test. To train them is my cause. Pokemon, gotta catch them is true. I don't know. That's all I got for the lyrics.
That's my why. Clip that, please.
There you go.
Clip that. Yeah. I don't know. Did we have anything else?
No, that's it.
Dang, I feel like I had more.
I gotta fix something on the Patreon. It's something I realized, so that's been pointed out to me.
Yeah. I will say that thank you to everyone who has upgraded their Patreon subscriptions. We really appreciate that. Means a lot. And now that I'm done with my semester, I can get back into the film room and start pumping out videos, and more content is on the way. So don't, if you've been a little miffed by the lack of content lately, it'll come back. So don't worry. Mm-hmm. And I will be in town this weekend.
You will.
I haven't been to SoCal, and I don't know, when's the last time I was there? I don't even remember.
There are some deets on a meetup, but that is, I think we're keeping to Discord. So join the Discord if you wanna know about where a little meetup is happening on Friday.
We're having a meetup. It should be a lot of fun. Gonna talk hockey. Gonna just have a good time. And yeah, excited to be in town. Excited to be back in SoCal. Excited to tweet SoCal I'm in you at some point.
Oh God.
Why is that a thing? It's like saying Born Day.
Happy Born Day, Cam Fowler.
When the hell did that become a thing? Is calling a birthday a Born Day?
Oh, Vixler said Juan Soto thoughts.
So today I saw that news, and like if you don't know baseball, that's fine, but I'll put it in very simple terms. So I was sitting next to my girlfriend. And I was like, "Oh, this player got traded. Take a wild guess where he got traded. Just pick a random team. Like who would be the team you would guess?" And she said Yankees, and I was like, "Yep." It's like that's just the sport. All the good players end up playing for the Yankees. It is what it is. Also, what the heck are the Padres doing? Are they just blowing it up? Wasn't that the whole thing that they like got that key piece a couple years ago?
I think from talking with Olaf, one of the issues they're running into is the fact that Bally dropped them, and so they are low on money as a result of that.
Oh, okay.
So that they're probably getting money out
also,
as a result.
I want to throw some cold water on this notion that European soccer is this like perfect free market. My buddy was telling me about this like
Man City thing.
What is it Man City? I forget what it is.
Well, Everton was docked points.
What's the rule?
Financial fair play?
Yeah. Basically, it doesn't actually... The system is rigged. It's not a fair fight. It's not a free market. The way we do it here in North America is better, is all I'll say. That's all.
Okay.
Speaking from a place of high knowledge here.
Yeah. Okay. Why don't you land this plane?
What else were we going to say? There was something... Oh, Born Day. Please stop calling it Born Day, for the love of God.
Ducks admin?
Just stop calling it Born Day. Like, just why? Just why? Oh, prediction. Before we log off here. Shohei Ohtani prediction.
Angels.
Oh, Steph Curry, big three. Sorry, I'm watching basketball. Should I give a pessimistic, like realistic prediction, or should I just predict with the heart?
Predict with the heart.
Okay, I'm gonna predict Giants. Honestly, I'll be happy if it's anyone but the Dodgers. As long as it's not the Dodgers, I feel like we'll all breathe a sigh of relief.
I mean, I'll be sad if it's not the Angels.
Would it be kind of a lame move if he went to the Dodgers?
I don't know.
Why?
I don't want to talk about this. It makes me sad.
I mean, I'm not here to like slander Shohei. You know, I want him to have a great career and to be in a winning environment, but to just go to basically the most well-built team and like just pile on to an already great team, it's just like, isn't that what everyone hated Kevin Durant for in basketball? And he's just gonna, I mean, they haven't won a real one, and they keep failing in the postseason when it's actually a real playoff. So maybe it's a different situation, but I just feel like it'd be a lame move. Like go build something somewhere if you're gonna leave. That's all.
Okay.
That's all.
Let's get out of here.
On that point, thank you for listening, everyone. Hope you enjoyed the show. If you want to support us, leave us a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts. We greatly appreciate it. Check out our Patreon. We got a Discord server, $2 a month, and then you can upgrade that to, I think it's $7.50 for the Discord server, 2 bonus podcasts a month, and then bonus player breakdown videos with private YouTube links. That's all at patreon.com/crashthepond. Subscribe to us there on YouTube. Subscribe on Spotify. Shout out to everyone. Shout out to the 123 of you where we were your most listened to podcast. We got those stats in our Spotify Wrapped. So to everyone who this was your top podcast and your Spotify ranked, we really appreciate that. Let us know on Twitter if that was you. Make sure to follow us on social media, X, Instagram, TikTok, whatever. We're all on there. And also, if with the holidays coming up, if you want to buy a gift for a loved one, a Ducks fan loved one, check out our awesome Crash the Pond Hockey Vibes HC t-shirts. They're awesome. Anaheim hockey sticks, eggplant and jade, beach, everything. It's just great. That's at crashthepond.com/shop. And on that note, thank you for listening, everyone. We've got the image here up on the screen.
Also,
and the link.
Big shout out to, I was recognized at local Trader Joe's by a guy named Andrew. So shout out to him for that.
Shout out to Andrew. Shout out to you. Shout out to everyone that has been bearing with us, and to many more. On that note, talk to you soon.
Bye.